We're back on the flip side buggy for Lonnie. We did the roll cage and we've got the exhaust done and everything. We're knocking out a bunch of the time consuming things. So real quick, we're gonna mount up just a few, like a brace on the electric power steering. You gotta brace up that motor because a lot of torque goes into that motor. We're gonna go ahead and mount the controller for the electric power steering. They have a box that you wanna keep dry as possible because again, these was power steerings out of cars, so they're not fully waterproof. So if you use these Prius or Versa power steerings, you want to make sure to enclose around it so water doesn't splash on them and stuff, and just try to keep them dry. So we're going to knock that out first. One of our big problems is we want to run 27-inch tires with 14-inch wheels on this buggy. So if we was to make, these are 4x110 on the front, and our wheels are 4x4, which is golf cart Miata size. Our golf cart wheels would get into the chassis if you had max turning on them. So I don't even know if they clear the spindle. So we need to pull apart the front end, and we're going to make all new custom spindles. Then we're going to modify the A-arms. Instead of having tabs on the A-arm like shown on screen, and the spindle has the ball joint, what we're going to do is make the spindle threaded out of a solid piece of steel, and then we're going to weld heim joints, 3/4 inch heim joints with 3/8 high misalignment spacers in them. And we're going to weld the heim joints to the A-arm. So that's going to give us a few inches of width. We only got to do 2 or 3 inches on each side to clear those 27s, and then we can use Miata wheel hubs. And I got to machine up a wheel bolt to match the Miata hub. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull off this front end, we're going to modify those A-arms, get our new spindles built, and get his tires on the front, and then we can see what we have to do on the rear to build new trailing arms, because of course we're going to have to go wider on the trailing arms, or we'll have a real wide front end, real skinny narrow back end. So let's jump right into it and get those parts mounted and then take off this front end. Real quick, we want to say we're doing a 10-year anniversary t-shirt that you can get only this weekend. It's pre-order because we're planning on the people that's going to be at our meetup, we're going to bring them there to the meetup to deliver them. So it's $25 on the website for the pre-order if you're picking it up at Turkey Bay at our 10-year anniversary, or if you want it shipped, it's $30. This is a cool logo. It looks like the NASCAR logo. I think it looks pretty sick, and we're not going to make these again. So real quick pre-order. We're trying to sell these as cheap as possible to give you guys a deal. That's just what it costs. We don't bill them ourselves. So make sure to check them out on the website, and it helps us out and helps us get to Turkey Bay through a stressful time. We're starting off with making some really fast taillight mounts. We don't have any taillights on any of our buggies, so we're going to be adding some LED ones to Lonnie's because I got to make a full wiring harness, and if they're already mounted, then of course I can adapt the wiring harness for them when I'm doing it. Then we're going to cut out a real quick brace for the power steering. There's a lot of torque in these steerings, so giving it some side bracing for the side forces is going to help out a ton. And now I'm going to cut out real fast a mount for the electric power steering computer. These do come with a little control module. We're going to mount it up high in the dash because this dash will be skinned out in aluminum, so it'll protect that. We're going to tack in this bracket, and now we have everything with the steering rack done. So this is the max down travel of these A-arms because of these ball joints. So the A-arms will actually clear the frame to drop down even more and give us more stance on the buggy, but these ball joints just don't have enough rotation. So right there, the bottom of that is 13 inches. And we're at 20 inches. We have 7 inches of travel on this, which actually isn't horrible because that 7 inches there is more at the tire. So we have probably 8 or 9 inches available in this. But if we rebuild it, we're going to have higher quality components and have more travel. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove this spindle off of here. And we're going to get the tie rods taken off, get this spindle completely off, then we can remove one side A-arm and start modifying it with some heim joints. We're gonna take a quick break from the video to talk about the sponsor, and that is Gunk. We just had an awesome weekend at Talladega watching the Gunk race car race. It was a sweet time, but now it's time to get stuff done in the shop. This is Gunk engine degreaser. You can use this on pretty much any part of your car. If you want to clean up under the engine bay and the fender wells, this stuff works really good. You can see we got this dirty old Tilson block. This thing's been sitting on the shelf, and we're trying to get some engines ready to put on bikes and sell and stuff like that, and that's where this Gunk is going to come in handy. We're going to spray it. She's going to foam up, and it's going to degrease everything. And I'm going to use this brush to get in there. As you can see, I didn't even let it set. It's nice if you let it set for a while and really soak in. You can see that one spot already looks 1,000 times better. So we're going to go over this entire block and a bunch of others. So make sure to check out Gunk. They have several products that's going to help you in your shop. This is one product you need to have if you're working on engines or anything greasy like we are. So massive shout out to Gunk. Check them out in the video description, and we thank you a lot. We have a lot of machining to do to make these spindles. We're taking a chunk of 1.5 inch solid steel. We're going to thread it on each side for 3/8 fine thread, and then do a 10 degrees angle on it to make it, just to take off some material and give it some shape so it's not these massive bulky spindles. And that's also going to get out of the way of the heim joint and give us a lot of clearance for the heim joint to articulate. Now we're going to start machining up the spindle bolt. This has to be several different layers to this thing to be able to fit onto the spindle, have a stop for the bearings, and also we're going to leave the end at 3/4 inch and thread it for 3/4 inch fine thread to put a nut to hold our wheel hub in place. So a lot of metal to take off, so let's get to it. So this is the spindle and the A-arm setup. I think it's going to be super strong. We got a lot of width out of this, probably around 3 to 4 inches per side. So we should have plenty of room to turn those 27s. This is our whole spindle. The bolt we made to fit a Miata wheel hub. So we can buy just an off-the-shelf Miata wheel hub. We can run Miata rear brake rotors because they are non-vented rotors. So these will fit Volkswagen rail buggy or Volkswagen Beetle calipers or the Wheelwood ones. These are perfect and they're super cheap. That's why we tried to use stuff like this that you guys could replicate. So here's our Miata wheel hub. It's going to slide on there real nice. Now this is the first time that I've used this spindle design. I've never done this before, so we'll see how she works. And another thing I could have done that I kind of wish I would have was I could have clocked these upward and that would have gave us even more down travel, but honestly this is going to work out really good. It's just, you know, hindsight's 2020. We could have angled these up and it would have traveled even more down. Right now we have them on a jack stand or a jack. We still get way more down travel and way more up travel than we ever got. We could put the floorboard on the ground if we wanted it to have that much up travel. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous how much it'll go up. So now we can throw the rotor on. I don't have the, another good thing about using the Miata ones, you can buy the screws that screw this onto the wheel hub, but I do not have them. Come on, baby. So there we go. You can see we'll get a ton of steering, as much steering angle as we want to modify into it. Now we do have an issue with our rack, the factory rack, and we'll talk about it real fast. When you're doing a double A-arm setup, you want your pivot point of your tie rod to match the pivot point of the A-arms. These A-arms are different than most buggies because they're on a slant, which doesn't affect them any. It still works as a normal A-arm. It's just when you're riding, your tire is straight, of course, and your pivot's going in a weird direction. But it doesn't hurt nothing. These are decent front ends for a Chinese buggy. But the only issue is, so I did machine up, let me find it. I did come up with these. I took the original ball joint brackets that screw onto the rack. I machined them down and I welded these forks on it. And this is where we can make a heim joint, a dual heim joint tie rod, so we have adjustment. But the only issue is if we thread this on there, it is nowhere near the pivot point. We're like 4 inches away from it. So now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to take this rack off because it only has a total of 3 inches of throw from lock to lock. And that's okay, but if you can get a little bit more out of a rack, then you want that. So I do have a rack sitting on the shelf that's just like this. It's almost identical, that has 4.5 inch from throw to throw, like lock to lock. So it'll give us a little bit more steering angle, and then we're going to have to lower this because this is also, if you see the A-arm and you see the tie rod, this is really close to the upper A-arm. So the issue is, as that A-arm drops, and when you're turning, the tie rod's going to get into the upper A-arm. So we're going to have to cut this rack off. We're going to have to lower the new rack down and build extension arms with supports that come out here and in line with these pivot points. We're unfortunately going to have to do this on the next video. We are going to Talladega and we don't have time to finish this before getting this video ready for posting. So we've been partnered with Gunk for a while now, and they allowed us to be able to go to Talladega and see their number 71 race car race. That's Michael McDowell. I'm not a NASCAR fan. This is going to be an awesome opportunity. I would definitely go anytime to watch NASCAR in person. I'm just not a big watch it on TV person. But it's an awesome opportunity that Gunk is allowing us to do. So we're going to go out and see the race. So we're not going to be able to do the steering rack until we get back. And then we're also going to tie up the rest of the rear end, the chain drive setup, and answer some of your guys' questions of why we ran the diff like we did, why we didn't lower the engine down, and all these questions you guys had. I know there's a lot of fabrication and not a lot of fun happening in these videos. Like we're not, you know, me and Lonnie playing around or whatever. It's just because we're on crunch time getting back from Talladega. We're going to have about 17 days before we have to pull out of the driveway to go to the meetup. We still got to do steering, brakes on this. We got to do a shifter bracket. We got to do an upper diff support and upper engine support. We're still waiting on parts to come in. A Performance 670 is going to be sending us, I think it's Performance Mad now. They changed their company name. But they are sending us a carb adapter to run the 42 flat slide Harley Davidson carb on this engine because we've already removed the governor, so there's no going back now. A lot of stuff to do. We got to build custom trailing arms on the rear, and we only got 17 days to do it when we get back from Talladega. So we hope to see you at Talladega, and it's going to be an awesome trip. Thank you, Gunk, again for allowing us to go out and have this experience and meet the driver and all this stuff. It's going to be an awesome time. Me, Lonnie, and Miss Redbeard's going down. And Miss Redbeard is more pumped than any of us. It's her birthday week, so she's claiming this is one of her birthday presents. So works for me. So hopefully we'll see you at Talladega. And thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to check out the links for Gunk products in the video description. And we'll see you on the next one. We love you, and God bless.